So movies. Let's talk movies. The first one I'm going to get into is The Protege, which stars Maggie Q, Samuel L. Jackson, and Michael Keaton. Now, this movie is about a contract killer who is on the mission of revenge after the death of her mentor slash father figure. But along the way, there are twists and turns that come along with trying to find the truth, in which puts her life in more jeopardy than it's ever been. And going into this movie, I didn't have high expectations for it. I didn't think it was going to be great. I just thought it was going to be the run-of-the-mill type of action film, which it kind of was, but it was really enjoyable for me. And the action is really good in this film. I really enjoyed it, and it is much better than some of the recent films that I've seen lately. And it doesn't go too crazy. It just knows where it needs to be, and it just kind of stays in that realm, and I did like that. It didn't go over the top. It didn't look Fast and Furious like. I thought it was going to be like John Wick-esque, but it kind of wasn't. I didn't really have a John Wick feel to it. It was actually a pretty good like action movie that had good action sequences. And I like the on-screen chemistry between Q and Jackson, as well as Q and Keaton's characters. That was kind of like, besides the action for me, that was kind of really the thing that saved the film, because you're enthralled within their interactions. And Q gives a decent performance, and of course Samuel L. Jackson does a great job. But to me, Keaton was largely the standout in this whole film, and really the kind of like the most enjoyable part about it. And that's why I think that Keaton's chemistry with Q works really well. And this movie does have some pacing issues, and it may end up feeling a little bit longer than what it needs to, but that's only due to the slow points throughout the film that it has. It doesn't have too many, but it is to a point where it does feel long. And just, I'm not going to say too much because it'd be giving it away, but there is a convenient fight scene that kind of works in the favor of the main character that just seems like they wrote themselves into a hole. They didn't know how to get out of it, so they just need to do it to get certain things pushed in motion, and it just really seemed very convenient for that moment just to get out of that situation. But overall, it is an enjoyable flick, a great action flick. And it is worth checking out if you have the time or whatever. It ain't the greatest, but I really did enjoy it. So did my father, because I took him for his birthday. So Reminiscence is a futuristic sci-fi film which stars Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, and Taddy Way Newton. In the future where parts of the world are flooded, a private investigator of the mind who helps people access and recover lost memories is entangled in a mystery after taking on a client in which he ends up falling for suddenly comes up missing. And now he's on the path to find out the truth behind her disappearance, but what he finds may end up destroying him in the process. Now, just right off the bat, this movie does have a really cool premise. It's a lot of things, honestly, a lot of things that you could do with it. It honestly could be a film series if they wanted to go that route. And it is a sci-fi, noir, crime, thriller, mystery with the added narration from Jackman. And it reminds me of like a combination of Motherless Brooklyn mixed in with some Blade Runner 2049, and it does have a Nolan-esque type of feel to it. And there are some pretty cool fight scenes up in there, like the one with Jackman's character and this other guy during the second fight. But it does have some notable points of hesitation in the fight, like they're waiting for their cues for something to happen, and it doesn't look as good as it should, but it did come across as well as it possibly could. And I do like the setting and the way that the world is set up with the flooded cities and how humanity had to kind of like get used to that and just adapt to that new way of living. And the backstory to just why the world is the way it is at this point is come across very interesting. I would love to see a movie based off of that. But this movie mainly revolves around the love story between Jackman and Ferguson's character and all the things that he would do to discover the truth. And everybody is great. Jackman does good up in his role, and Ferguson does great in her role as the love interest, and just putting on that mystery of you don't really quite understand her motives and if she is really pure or just her intentions, as well as Newton being the main backbone to Jackman's character and like just keeping him steady and he keeping her steady. So it's kind of like a balance of just that chemistry between both of the characters that kind of keeps them both level. But I do feel like there's one fight up in the movie where it's kind of out of place. It's a bar fight scene, and it just, with the tone of the film and how everything is going, it just seemed like that was something that was thrown in there because it felt like it was not too much action going on and they just needed some action thrown in there, so they had to put that scene in there to keep people more interested, because it is a 2.5 hour film. And it does have a slow burn, but throughout the film, it did keep me invested in the mystery of what was going on with these characters. I mean, like I said, the setting and everything is great, so visually it comes off looking like pretty good. But it is a slow burn. I can see some people getting bored with it or whatnot, but I feel like it is a good enough film and it's worth checking out all the way into the end. And it is worth checking out in theaters. They do have it on HBO Max, but I do encourage people to go to the movie theaters and just check this out. Just, you know, it's a really good film. It's better than what I thought it was going to be, and it's better than what I think people say it is, because a lot of people are saying that this movie isn't that great, but I disagree. I really enjoyed it. I like the action, the look, the feel of it, and everything else. So I feel like it's good enough for people to definitely put their money down and go check it out. And so for our last and final film, The Night House, starring Rebecca Hall. After the death of her husband, Beth starts to experience weird occurrences that leads her to discover a dark and disturbing truth about her late husband as well as her past. And so just to start off, like, this movie is a well put together horror film. I did not expect this to come from it. It's more of a story mystery with a nice reveal at the tail end of the film. And Rebecca Hall dominates the screen whenever she's on it with a phenomenal performance. And Hall has a performance that, whether the movie is good or bad, it's memorable amongst everything else. It really reminds me of Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary, how it stood out amongst the whole film as being one of the best things about it, and ironically deals with one of the major subject matters and themes of that movie. And the scares are great. Even the jump scares are used to great effect, as well as the creepiness and the feeling of dread that accompanies each and every one of them. And it does have several callbacks to particular things that have heavy significance to the story that do need to be paid close attention to. It does have a bit of predictability, but it doesn't overshadow the events that happen in the film leading all the way up into its climax. Now, this isn't one of the greatest horror films that I've seen in years, but I do think that it is a good quality horror film that I think a lot of people should go to the theaters and check out. Like I said, the performance is great, the scares are great, the story that accompanies it, and just even the overall climax of just what everything comes to, I thought was done really well. But it does do a good job with blending the artsy type of film of like A24 mixed with your modern type of film that you would come across nowadays, but it does everything so well. So yeah, so definitely go check it out. And so with that said, those have been my Take One reviews on The Protege, Reminiscence, and The Night House. I hope you guys go ahead and check it out, and I hope you guys enjoyed those films as much as I did. And if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, do all that stuff, because more stuff will be hitting my channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.